Humility, noun, the quality of having a modest or low view of one's importance. Contradiction, also a noun, the statement of a position opposite to one that's already made. Humility is something that the NBA has never had. Since its creation in 1964 to the current season, humility is an aspect that is rarely seen yet desired by fans. That is where the contradiction lies. NBA fans complain and attack NBA players for being some of the best athletes in the world and showing off, yet complain that the passion and intensity in basketball is lacking. They want more tension, drama and engagement, but scorn and scold players for overconfidence and showboating. For example, the most present case in the NBA is Jobert. A brief summary of Jobert. Jobert rose to prominence in 2018 when his story of being a completely unranked high school player to a college scholarship to a potential top 3 pick was released. People loved Ja. He was an underdog that came from nothing, from training in his backyard to dunking on professional athletes. He inspired athletes across the globe, and to win Rookie of the Year the same year, he became an icon, a hero, and many people's favourite player. Fast forward 3 years and people hate Jobert and his team for the same thing they wanted in the league: pride. The crazy thing is, players have never been humble, and fans crave the old NBA where players were pointing, pushing, and overall showboating. Trash talking has been much worse in the past. From mocking fans to mocking players' wives, the level of disrespect always varies. But is there a player that truly embodies trash talking? And I want to see why trash talking occurs in the first place. The NBA was created in 1946, and soon after, one of the first menaces was added to the league. By all means of the phrase, the man, the myth, the legend, Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. If somehow you haven't heard about Wilt Chamberlain, he is one of the greatest humans to ever live. Not just basketball players, humans. After being one of the greatest high school athletes and averaging 30 and 18 in college, Wilt came into the NBA at age 23, and in his first season averaged 38 points, 27 rebounds, and 2 assists in his rookie season. To understand the dexterity of his career, I'm going to tell you some of his highlights. In his third season, he averaged 50 points and currently holds 5 out of 6 spots for most points averaged in the season. He currently holds the record for most rebounds in a career, as well as holding 6 out of 10 spots for the highest rebounds averaged in the season. He got Rookie of the Year, 4 MVPs, 2 championships, a Finals MVP, and most impressively, holds the current record for most points scored in an NBA game, the Big 100. I haven't even mentioned his physicals yet. He was listed as having a 48-inch vertical, tied with the highest in NBA history, but he was allegedly pushing 50. He was a 3-time collegiate high jump champion and could grab a quarter off the top of the backboard. That's 13 feet in the air, grabbing quarters with that accuracy. He was freakishly strong as well. Wilt's coach basically said that he would treat 7'1", 325 pounds Shafali O'Malley as a baby and was benching 500 pounds at age 40. He ran 100 meters under 11 seconds, so he'd probably be one of the fastest people on the planet at his time. Theoretically, he could run faster than the current fastest woman to ever exist, Florence Joyner Griffiths. But he would also be amongst the strongest and tallest people on the planet, which many people aren't. But to get back on the topic of disrespect, Wilt could do anything and did anything he wanted. From the time he entered the league, he became an immediate terror. Wilt regularly picked people up as an intimidation tactic. He picked up Casey Jones by the top of his head for fun. When a random guy made a harmless "how's the weather up there" joke, Wilt spat on his head and told him it was raining. And when he was playing against Magic Johnson and the game started to heat up, he declared that no one on the other team would score again, and then proceeded to block every shot that went up. Wilt's level of disrespect was different. He was in a category all on his own. He wasn't a major trash talker, but he was so confident in his abilities that anything he said he could do, he did. But he wasn't that disrespectful. He respected players and appreciated their play style in public. So there had to be worse trash talkers than him, right? A 6'9" white man from French Lick, Indiana enters the NBA wanting to prove himself and let everybody know about it. Enter Larry Jobert. After averaging 30, 13, and 5 in college, he was drafted 6th in the NBA draft to the Celtics, but he couldn't make an immediate impact, probably due to the fact that when he was allowed to enter the NBA, he chose to remain in college for an extra year to complete his college experience. But the second he joined the team, he made the immediate turnaround. They went from 21st out of 22 teams in the league to 1st in the NBA, with Larry Bird leading the charge. And though he couldn't lead them to win the finals against the Lakers, his 21 points, 10 rebounds and 5 assists was enough to get Larry to finish 4th in MVP voting. The rest of his career would be a battle against Magic Johnson, as they were constantly compared from their college career to their career end, with Larry finishing with 3 rings to Magic's 5, whilst having a 2-1 losing record in the finals against him. Being a prominent white player in the NBA filled with black people, Larry had to hold his own against the disrespect he'd face, and hold his own he did. Larry's main weapon of attack wasn't his jump shot, but it was his words. On and off the court, he'd berate the player and subsequent team. Larry had to show people that he was a serious threat, and he accomplished that through trash talking. Larry, when his team was in a deficit, would tell the plays that they were about to run to the opposing player, then run the exact same play and score just to win the game. He was dangerous. As an unathletic white guy himself, he was seriously upset that they put another unathletic white guy on him because they knew that he wouldn't be able to guard him, and Larry was the best white man in the league. Amongst all, he would consistently tell people that they could not guard him because he knew that they couldn't, but he also knew that saying things like that would rile them up and put them off their game. It was a necessary tactic. Not necessary in the sense that Larry couldn't compete without it, but necessary in the sense that he needed to do it in order to earn respect from other players and from the fans and media. As a white man, he was constantly discounted in the league, so in order to earn your respect, he'd tell you that he's better than you and prove it as well. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the Black Cat, Black Jesus, the GOAT, was one of history's most notorious trash talkers. I don't believe I have to go over Michael's history too tough, as over 5 million people have seen The Last Dance, so here's a brief rundown. After sprouting up from 5'11" to 6'6" over 2 summers, he went to UNC for 3 years and won a championship in 1982. He entered the 1984 draft where he was drafted 3rd behind Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler, and immediately became the best player to ever live. He jumped into the league averaging 28, 6 and 7, and not only did he drag his team to the playoffs, going from 27 and 55 to 38 and 44, but he also changed the entire culture of the team. To simplify it, before Michael, the Bulls were a team that gambled, smoked, stayed up late, and were overall nightlife warriors. Michael changed them into hard-working, rough and rowdy winners. From start to finish, he left a legacy like no other. Some of Michael's most infamous trash talker stories consist of him showing people that whatever they can do good, he can do better. I believe we all know the infamous story of when he ruined Muggsy Bogues' career by playing on the one thing he had going for him, his height. During a playoff game when the Hornets trying to take Game 5 and the Bulls down 1, Bogues had the ball in front of Michael Jordan. Jordan would give Bogues the space to shoot it, but stripped his confidence right before the shot by saying, "Shoot it, you midget." He would miss the shot and the Bulls would win the game and the series. Bogues was never the same after this game and his career took a downward spiral. But Michael was really a target and that led to a lot of his trash talking. People wanted to come at Michael because he was Michael, and he had to prove that he wasn't just anybody you could step to.
We in Chicago, it's my rookie year, the second half of the year. You know how you're not caught on now, right? Now you got your little 1-2 moves, you getting them off right now. You got some confidence, right? So I'm in that. I'm on the getting back to the go. I got about 70 people at the game, the hood in here. We all in here, right? So I'm just on one, but I haven't had no sleep. I'm just on like a, Anyway, I'm playing, right? But JR is having a good game. JR Mike.
JR Ryder.
JR Ryder. Shout out to JR Ryder, right?
Easy Ryder.
So I'm like, as we come out the timeout, just I'm on, y'all. I can't even explain it. I was just like, keep killing that nigga, yo. You killing that nigga. Boning him, yo, straight up. You having a good game, Joe. Keep going. But it was on some just fly by. He was like, yeah, you too. So as I'm walking off, the nigga right here, Mike can hear me, but I don't really give a. I'm like, so I double back like, yeah, man, keep killing that nigga, yo. You killing that motherfucker. So as I say that, I feel it. Hands on hips, legs locked. Then look. The nigga stabbed me for about 15 seconds, so I start to feel it. There's 2 ways you can go in this. I can walk this off out like I don't even feel it and play it off and dummy out. Keep killing this nigga. Okay, keep it up. So I hear JR go, yo, all right, yo, fella, keep going, yeah, you too. So he's trying to get me off and over. I don't even, now that I recall it, he was trying to kind of just get off and over. So he go, so I double back, go, and get ready to say something. So he go, hey, look, Mike, he don't really know how I see him and Mike having a conversation. So he's like, he don't really know he excited, whatever. So now MJ on the back leg joint, he's
leaning on you.
Like,
is that right?
Say, okay, yeah, huh? I can't even really describe the next 6 to 7 minutes of play, y'all. In this next 6 to 7 minutes of play, y'all, we down 25 now. It was just at 2. Mike had 18. He had 40 now. JR, myself, we ain't scored in about 4 minutes. Then I subbed 3 of the starters. It's just finally flipped. It got bad quick, y'all.
Michael talked trash, 1, because he earned the right to, being one of the best players, if not the best player to ever live, but 2, because people always wanted to go at Michael. They wanted to take him down to their level, and he had to prove that he was never there. Now I think we finally arrived at a pure trash talker. Someone who talked trash for the sake of hurting people. Someone who had the 2000s in the headlock. A true menace, the big ticket himself, Kevin Maurice Garnett. One of the last players drafted from high school, Garnett averaged 25 points, 18 rebounds and 7 assists with 7 blocks while shooting 67% from the field after moving from his hometown to Chicago. This is where he developed his talent for talking. Chicago wasn't a place where you can get off easy, so you had to be able to hold your own. He'd start his NBA career off well, averaging 10, 6 and 2 with 2 blocks and a steal. He showed potential on a solid foundation and even went on to win MVP in 2004. But after 12 years of minimal success on the Timberwolves, he would form arguably the first super team in NBA history alongside Rajon Rondo, Paul Pierce, and later Ray Allen. On Boston, he slightly slowed down on the offensive end as he didn't have to carry the load, having 2 versatile scorers and an elite playmaker. But on the defensive end, he was far and away the anchor of the team, managing to win Defensive Player of the Year in 2008. Every year of his career, he talked trash. We already mentioned talking crazy to Michael Jordan in his rookie season, but after he joined the Celtics, it got arguably worse. He called Charlie Villanueva a cancer patient, he made 2 grown men cry, and one of them was his teammate Glenn Davis. He told Tim Duncan Happy Mother's Day. Bear in mind, Tim Duncan's mother had passed away from breast cancer, and even managed to get this clip.
Hell no! Trash ass nigga!
Garnett was a menace from the start to the finish of his NBA career. Whether he was injured or starting, he talked crazy to whoever he wanted. As he himself said, he wasn't out there trying to be friendly. But growing up in South Carolina where there was heavy discrimination, that will do that to someone, especially as the oldest male in his family, and it was this discrimination that led him to move to Chicago in the first place. And in Chicago, if you're not tough, you won't survive. It was ingrained into him from the moment he could think. In the 2010s, the NBA and NBA refs started cracking down on trash talk and unsportsmanlike conduct, and technical fouls started getting handed out relentlessly. So this next player is one of the last of a dying art, and one of the best to ever do it in trash talking and basketball, Kobe Bean Bryant. Kobe was drafted in 1966, 13th to the Charlotte Hornets at age 17, and was almost immediately traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. He was a spitting image of Michael Jordan. Though his first season wasn't the greatest, we acknowledge that Kobe had a claim to greatness for his tenacity and determination, just like his idol. He would spend his entire career on the Lakers, and in his first season would play one of the best players in the league at the time, Shaquille O'Neal. Once Shaq left, he would form and lead his own team to another 2 championships, and finally get his finals MVP. Though he'd egregiously finished with only 1 regular season MVP. Throughout his career, he terrorized teammates, opposing team, his staff, anyone who wanted it, and even those who didn't, got it. Kobe grew up and watched a different era of basketball. Bringing that into the new era, it wasn't the same. In practice, he'd push around, berate, and challenge his teammates, whether they liked it or not. Even when injured, he walked into practice just to say bye to the bums.
Sweatsuits, he has a sling around his, for his hurt shoulder, and he has his shades on, his Kobe shades, and he walks in and everyone's like, oh, and boos. Carlos Boozer's like, Kobe, like, good to see you, bro. Like, dang, like we haven't seen you a bit. How come you came today? And he was just stone faced, and he was like, I just came by to say bye to some of you bums who are gonna get traded tomorrow.
He called 6'10", 270-pound Dwight Howard soft and told him to try him, and very few players could give the same intimidation back. We all saw what happened when Barnes tried. This is because he was different to everyone else. Kobe idolized the toughest man in the game. When everyone else wanted to pull MJ down to their level, Kobe wanted to surpass him. Bringing this intensity to a new era, only few could handle it. Kobe could talk trash because no one in this new era could talk trash back, let alone have the skills to back it up. He earned the right to talk trash. Now we arrive in the present, where players like Ja Morant and Devin Booker, who people love for coming from humble beginnings, are now hated for bringing the thing people wanted back in the league. There's a common theme with some of the greatest trash talkers, from Wilt Chamberlain to Kobe Bryant. That theme is power. All these players embody a form of power. You have overpowering strength, power through respect, intimidating power, bred through power, and tenacity for power. Sure, you have players like Draymond Green, Gary Payton, Reggie Miller, Charles Barkley and such, but they aren't of the same ilk of the players that I mentioned. The players that I mentioned had the ability to talk trash, and players tried but rarely ever got a victory over them. But there's one more player I want to talk about, someone who breaks that chain. Patrick Beverley is convincingly the biggest trash talker currently in the NBA. He's considered one of the dirtiest players in the NBA after a lot of questionable plays, but he's actively the biggest trash talker in the NBA. A lot of these dirty plays are him being over-aggressive on defense and not getting the right result. Kobe clawed his way up to the aforementioned position of power, making his trash talking effective. So the power I believe Patrick Beverley represents is the power of delusion. His passion and tenacity for the game is evident, and it can get the better of him at times. But his delusion affects his impact and purpose. The reason why the trash talking from this list was effective is because they provided an intense value to their team. They were essentially irreplaceable. Then we see Beverley telling Steph the next 5 years are his just to get forcefully traded 4 times. Saying that statement at age 31 shows you overestimate his impact on the team, and shows the true effect of the power of delusion. Speaking of value, here's a video of how Kyrie lost his value in the NBA. If you like the video, like the video. If you don't, don't. I didn't want to harp on Beverley too long because he still provides value to the team that he goes on. But what do you think of my analysis? Let me know if you think I was right or wrong, and I'm done. Okay, bye.